In today's video, we're going to walk you through whether you should use maximize conversions or maximize conversions with a target CPA as your bidding strategy for Google Ads, depending on where you're currently at with your own campaign lifecycle. Now, just to actually distinguish between the two bidding strategies, maximize conversions as a whole, it basically uses Google's AI to set bids to help get the most conversions for your campaign while spending your budget. So in simple terms, maximize conversions, you're basically just telling Google to get you as many conversions as possible, and you have your full daily budget to do so. Now, target CPA is also an automated bid strategy that gets you as many conversions as possible. But the main difference then is that when you set your target CPA, is that you set a desired average cost per conversion, and then Google actually takes that into account because you've made it clear exactly what you're willing to pay per lead. Whereas with maximized conversions, the only guidelines that you're giving them is to just get as many conversions as possible. And really, when you're looking at the two side by side, they're both trying to get you as many conversions as possible. But the core difference is that with maximized conversions, you're basically just telling them to get you as many conversions as they can get within your budget. Whereas with target CPA, you're setting a clear goal of what you actually want to pay per lead. So you have a bit more control really over what your cost per lead is likely to be, because your budget isn't going to spend as aggressively if Google can't get you a cost per lead for roughly that amount. Whereas with maximized conversions, it's a lot more flexible on what your actual cost per lead will be because you didn't give any direct guidelines on what you're willing to pay per lead. And usually, when trying to distinguish between which of these two bidding strategies that we should actually use, it usually comes down to overall conversion data and conversion volume in a shorter time frame, for example, the last 30 days. Because both bidding strategies are automated, meaning that they use Google's AI to set bids for you in real time. And for that to work for both strategies, they typically work a lot better when you have some conversion data already. So that might come from using manual CPC or maximize clicks as your bidding strategy at first, because those are the best bidding strategies typically for getting enough conversion data to actually benefit from max conversions or target CPA. So using those early on. But once you get past that stage then of getting your initial conversion data, it's about determining which bidding strategy is actually best for you. And it really depends on how fast you've gathered that initial data. Because let's just say, for example, you want to get 20 to 30 conversions before making the switch to one of these two bidding strategies. But let's just say in one scenario, it took you 40 or 50 days to get to 20, 25 conversions. In that case, I'd recommend going with maximize conversions as your bidding strategy because you've gotten enough conversion volume for Google to actually be able to maximize for conversions, but at the same time, not enough conversion volume in the last 30 days to really benefit fully from target CPA. Now, so there can be exceptions to which one you can go for in very specific scenarios, but the easiest way of putting it is that after your initial gathering stage, if you've gotten 15 to 30 conversions, but they're all within the last 30 days, then usually you're going to be fine with target CPA. But if you've just about gathered enough conversions, for example, let's just say 20 conversions, but they weren't all within the last 30 days, then maximize conversions would be a lot better when you don't have as much conversion data as you like. And in a lot of cases, maximize conversions without a target CPA is the next best step after your manual or maximize clicks bidding. Now, what's worth pointing out about maximize conversions as well is that typically for any new campaigns that don't have any conversion data yet, you're just going to use maximize clicks or manual CPC to actually get that conversion data first. But if you're running a new campaign, but it's inside an account with other campaigns that have conversion data, then you can actually go straight to maximize conversions for that campaign because that account as a whole already has a lot of data as to which users are likely to call or fill out a form or whatever that conversion action is for you. And then target CPA then is a lot more about how many conversions that campaign received in the last 30 days. And generally, as long as you have 15 at the very minimum, but ideally closer to 30 conversions in the last 30 days, then you can go straight to target CPA bidding. And just to give you an example of what this actually looked like for a real campaign we're running. So this campaign we initially launched around the 12th of February this year, And so the 1 month mark would have been up around March 11th. And just for context, we were using maximize clicks as a bidding strategy, and we did very well to get 26 conversions within the first 30 days, as that's typically a lot harder to get with a maximize clicks bidding strategy, especially when you're working with a lower daily budget than you'd like to be using. But because we had 26 conversions within the last 30 days, we were then able to go directly to a target CPA bidding strategy. And we had set, which we'll touch on in a minute, of how to set your target CPA. We set the target CPA to about €40 just because I know our actual cost per conversion was €32, but we didn't want Google to stop spending our budget because we were being too aggressive with our bid. So we were being as flexible as possible, but still had a target CPA from the beginning. And then when you look at the following month, we had gotten a lot more conversions and a much lower cost per conversion. And this allowed us then to start setting much lower target cost per acquisitions because we initially switched to target CPA when we had plenty of conversions within the last 30 days, and we were also flexible with the bid that we chose. So let's just say for this campaign, we had gotten less than 26 conversions in the first 30 days. Let's just say maybe it was around 15 or 20, or let's just say we had gotten less conversions than that in the first 30 days, and we got to 20 conversions at around the 45 day mark. Then in that case, it would have made more sense to go to maximize conversions first, because the amount of conversions in the last 30 days is lower. So when choosing target CPA over max conversions, it really is more about, how many conversions you actually got in the last 30 days over anything else. And the one thing we really want to point out about target CPA, if that's what you decide to go with over maximize conversions, is that generally if you actually have a much higher daily budget to work with and you're not spending your full budget and you want to spend more and you want to have the highest impression share possible, then typically just going with maximize conversions is going to be best for you, because when you add a target CPA, your impression share is naturally going to drop because you're only willing to pay a certain amount per conversion, and you're not being as flexible with Google as to just, get you as many conversions as possible within your budget. And that's why as well initially we set a target CPA for a number that was higher than we were already paying per lead, because if we set a target CPA of €22, for example, when our actual cost per lead was €35, then Google would likely stop getting many impressions or spending our budget because it wouldn't know how to get us conversions for that amount, because we don't have historical data of doing so. And that's one thing to be aware of, is that when you're setting a target CPA, you want to set it for a number that you're already paying per conversion inside the last 30 days. And usually Google even recommends, what your target CPA should be. And if it's for a number that's similar to what you're paying per conversion in the last 30 days, then usually it is more than likely the best number to actually go with. Because the more flexible you are with target CPA, the smoother the transition will be from one bidding strategy to another, and it's going to minimize the bid strategy learning phase as a whole. And one last thing you can consider then is that if you're just using maximize conversions or target CPA and you're having an issue with your cost per clicks, is that your cost per clicks are way too high, which is another point worth mentioning about maximize conversions, is because you're giving Google that flexibility to just get you as many conversions as they can within your budget, you might get a lot of really expensive clicks that don't actually turn into conversions. And in those cases, we found using portfolio bid strategies to work really well. And what a portfolio bid strategy is that you're still using maximized conversions with a target CPA. So under portfolio bid strategy, you'd go with target CPA. But the core aspect to a portfolio bid strategy is that you have direct control over your max cost per click, even though you're still focusing on conversions. So if you were setting a portfolio bid strategy as well, so you'd name it something like, target CPA followed by the number that your actual target CPA is, and then followed by the max cost per click bid limit. And then you'd select the campaign that you want to add it to, choose the target CPA that you're going to pick, and as we mentioned, choose a number that you're actually paying per lead already, if not even a little bit higher. And under advanced options then, to actually control your max cost per click bid limit while using maximize conversions, you can put in a number in here. So that way, just in case Google decides to go crazy and try and charge you 5 times as much as usual for a click, you have some kind of cap set on the very maximum amount you're willing to pay for an individual click. So I hope this video helped and just gave you some clarity on what you should do regarding your own bidding strategy depending on where you're currently at inside your campaign lifecycle, with the options of maximize conversions with a target CPA, or even using a portfolio as well, as we just mentioned. And if you do have any questions about anything we mentioned inside this video, feel free to leave a comment down below. And if you are a service-based business looking for further help refining your own campaigns as well, feel free to have a look at the link in the description. And if you do like this Google Ads related content as well, feel free to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, as we'll be posting all things related to Google Ads here daily. And hopefully we'll see you inside the next video.